Okay. Good evening, everybody. And we're back again to our show. And today I'm in Arusha, in my friend's place, Baldwin and Bambella. Thank you so much for having me here in my trusted home. And today we have a very, very good conversation. Yeah, I will let him introduce himself as we start. Yes.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you for inviting me to this evening. My name is David John. I'm the High Performance Director for Hockey India.
Yes, yeah, so we are very lucky to have you. First and foremost, congratulations. I think you've done a good job. I think it's also very important for people to know it has been a journey. So today I just wanted you to just tell us on what you saw, the process you saw needful to grow and the challenges that you've been having and the future from there. So I'll let you just go straight from there.
Thank you, Moses. I started the journey in 2011 because India hadn't qualified for the 2008 games. It was the first hockey that they hadn't qualified for. So I was brought to India 6 months before the qualifying tournament, essentially to get the team fitter. I'm an exercise physiologist and a sports scientist by profession. I should tell everyone that I have no hockey background.
Yes, very important.
I'm married to an Olympic gold medalist. My stepdaughter plays for the Hockeyroos, but I have no background in hockey at all. I come from the sports science background. Yeah. And we were fortunate enough to beat France in February of 2012. And then I was invited to stay for another 6 months and take the team to London Olympics, which was a great experience. Unfortunately, we finished 12th. We lost to South Africa in the 11-12 playoff. And there were reasons for that. Many of the team members in 2012 had not experienced Olympic Games before. It was their first occasion. They were a very young team at the time. And I think when we look back, they were happy to have made the games. And that was their sole expectation. Their expectation was never to win a gold medal. However, in India, the media expectation is always, if you qualify for the Olympics, you will make the gold medal match, particularly with our history here, having won 8 previous Olympic gold medals. Yes. But that was never going to happen in 2012 with the team that we had. Then my journey went into Hockey India League. I was approached by a franchise. The franchise owners also knew nothing about hockey. So I was fortunate enough to really be given free rein to recruit the staff that I wanted. And probably one of my best experiences of my life was to go to the auction and spend their money to buy my dream team. We had a plan, a very good strategy going into that auction. And I think of the 12 international players that we had listed, we recruited 11 of the 12. And my strategy was also, because we had a Junior World Cup coming to India, I wanted to recruit young, talented Indian players to gain the experience by playing with these, very professional, very experienced, as it turned out, international players. So Mo Fuster, Austin Smith, Fergus Kavanagh, Ashley Jackson, Floris Evers. So we had 5 players of excellent international experience. Yes. 2 of them had played at the gold medal match in 2008 in Evers and Fuster. Yeah. And our young Indian players learnt so much from that experience of playing with that group of players over 2 or 3 years. Yes. And I think the experience of Hockey India League certainly contributed to our junior men winning the Junior World Cup in Lucknow in 2016. Yes. It certainly helped the development of Indian hockey. It should be said that after the Olympics, I left India and I only returned for the Hockey India League for those 6 to 8 weeks when the season was on. And then I was recruited again in 2016 after the Rio Olympics to come back as the high performance director. So I started that role in November 2016, and we're still continuing in that role.
Yeah, very, very, very good history of that. And when you got the role, what did you have to do first? Because I think you already had a history with the system and the players, and there's a goal which you had, and
Yes.
getting back to work. Yeah.
So it was interesting because it was I'd been recruited by another franchise, the Kalinga Lancers. And recruited again, new players and new coach in Mark Hager. And we'd finished second in 2016. And then when I took on the role at the end of 2016, it was just before the 2017 Hockey India League. And I had to withdraw my services so I could concentrate on that role. And all of the national coaches were involved in Hockey India League. Yes. And the two coaches that have been recruited for the national women's team, the Dutch coaches, Jord Marine being one, hadn't got a visa. He was still awaiting his visa. So when I arrived in November, I went to the Junior World Cup, which was exciting for India because they won that. And then in January, when the senior women's camp started, there were no coaches. So I had to go and oversee and we always have around 33 in the national camps here. The junior women and the senior women camp were being run simultaneously, and it was left to only me and one assistant to run those 66 girls for a period of around 3 months. Until Jord actually was able to come to India with his visa. And this was great for me because I hadn't had very much to do with the women at all in my time in 2011 or during Hockey India League. So it gave me a great opportunity to work with the girls and train with the girls and have a very good relationship with that core group, which now has qualified for the Tokyo Olympics. So this time was good for me because I now have a very good appreciation of the men and the women, and the junior men and the junior women in India. We run 4 national teams here, 12 months of the year. So we're particularly lucky with our budget, and we're well supported by the government. So we have 4 squads of 33 players, and pretty much they're full time. The only time they're given off is when we give them a break from the camp, but they're either in national camps or traveling to tournaments and playing tournaments and then having a small rest. So I think we're particularly lucky. We're one of the few countries that have a full-time hockey program like this. The program's now being expanded again because we're going down to a sub-junior age group. So 14 to 17-year-olds are also being recruited now. We've introduced that. It'll take, well, it was supposed to have started already, but due to COVID, it's been put on hold and delayed a little. But the national government here has a 2024 and a 2028 program in place. So these sub-junior players, these 14 to 17-year-olds, we're bringing them in and starting to develop them for the 2028 Olympic Games. So there's a long-term plan in place. So a lot of my role is in planning for obviously the next calendar year, but we're very much looking at 2024 and 2028 to have success in those Olympic Games.
Wow. I mean, it calls for proper planning and I think a proper cohesion between the whole team management and the government. Yeah, but before that, what challenges were you having before we talk about the successes?
Okay, well, there's obviously a language issue, Moses. I don't speak Hindi and I don't speak Tamil. But I think all of the foreign coaches that come here have had this challenge. In my time, we've now introduced English classes as part of the camps. So the younger players are learning English. The schooling now, English is becoming the second language. It wasn't in the past. So a lot of the new players coming into the camps have better English than certainly 2011, 2012. There's 29 different regions in India. And it's pretty much like Africa having 29 different states or 29 different countries. They're very different. When you look at our team, we have players from Manipur, which is like a Burmese. And then we have players from the south in Bangalore or Coorg, and we have players in the north from Punjab, and the players in the middle from Uttar Pradesh. So the challenge is bringing all of those. We're one country, I understand, but all those regions together and having those players assimilate together. And it's a challenge in the camp, and it's particularly a challenge on the pitch. I think it's been one of the biggest challenges to try and get the group to be cohesive on the pitch, rather than playing only to their friends or only to people that from their region, which happens in matches sometimes. And it's okay to have a good connection between players, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of the team. And this has been one of the big challenges. The other challenge that I found has been selection policies in the past. Unfortunately, it was very subjective selection policies. So players were being selected not necessarily on their merit or their talent. And I changed that in 2011 when I was given a free rein to do the selection. And obviously, since I've come back, all the selection procedures now are very objective in nature. We select over 3 criteria: fitness, skills, and the way they play their matches. And they're graded around 33% for each of those criteria. So it's become a much more objective. Players can be very good from a region we don't know about, Assam, for instance. And if we see them and their fitness scores are high and their skill scores are high and they play the match well, then they'll be selected into a national camp and given an opportunity. And this wasn't happening in the past. So I think as a result, we've now got a higher caliber of players and more depth across the country.
Yes. No, in fact, going back to that, and I think why I'm asking this question is that, like Kenya, for example, and other African countries, we have a lot of similarities with the Indian kind of hockey. Like actually, Kenya is, I can say, we run the way things, and we've been having these discussions about what should we do to improve. We have all these challenges, but it's very, very important you're talking about that, because I think it's a doable progress for us to go. But with that, talking about that, what about the political interference? Is there any political interference in the
I think once you start having some success, there is less. There's always a large expectation here that hockey will do well because of the previous Olympic history that we have. And up until 1980, they were a dominant force along with Pakistan. And then they haven't won any major title since 1980. And really since 1975, because the 1980 Olympics were compromised because they were boycott. And not all the best, strongest teams were there. So since 1975, when they won the World Cup in Kuala Lumpur, they haven't won a major title since. All right. So there's been a little bit less pressure, but as soon as you start winning and climbing in the rankings in the men and the women, suddenly there's a lot more expectation. There's a lot more Indians now following the hockey again, which is great for, our national players. But with that success, again comes the pressure. And I think leading into Tokyo, there is an expectation in India that we'll do well and we can finish on the podium. And the players, we're spending a lot of time on the mental side of the game, making sure they're dealing with the process and not thinking about the outcome too much. The outcome will come if the processes are in place properly. And the mental side of the game has not really been a strong part of the Indian game. I think it hasn't been ignored, but a lot of the Indian players haven't been aware of the importance that you need to spend on the mental side of the game. And now it's become one of the primary focuses for both the men and the women's teams.
Now, you just talked about when I was in India, and I had the privilege of being with you in India during the World League final?
Yes, World League final.
Yes, and I was also part of the coaching development that India has undertaken. So kindly just brief us on what you're looking at Matters Education for the coaches in other regions.
So it's expected that India will just produce player after player after player, and there are a lot of young Indians playing the game.
Yes.
But in this country, they don't start playing hockey till 11 years of age. And for me, that's too late. I think most of the strongest countries in the world, so Australia, Holland, Belgium, GB, they start programs at 5 or 6 years of age. So the basic hockey skills are being learnt probably between 6 and 10 years of age. And a lot of time and practice is being put in during 6 to 10 years of age. And in this country, they don't pick up a stick till they're 11. So they're already, they're already a little bit behind everyone else. And that's a problem. The next problem was when I arrived, there was only one accredited coach in the whole country. One. Who had any FIH qualification at all. And up until April 2019, there was only 2 coaches in India with any formal accreditation.
Okay.
And therefore, we've got 29 different states with hundreds of coaches in each state, all coaching their own way. And when we bring in the players to a national camp, they all have a different focus, a different way of playing, different structure, different terminology, different language. There was no consistency at all. So we've introduced now, obviously FIH have their level 1, level 2, level 3. But prior to that, we've given grounding to our own coaches by providing a level 1 basic, and then a level 1 and a level 2. So once they've passed our Hockey India level 2, then they can progress into the FIH courses. And we've put around 600 coaches so far through the Hockey India level 1, level 2, and around 200 have progressed through the FIH level 1 courses, which is fantastic. So it's a start, but it means now India has some consistency across the country in terms of their coaching, the way we coach, the terminology we use. They have a much better understanding of modern hockey principles. And even and certainly for me, Hockey Fives is an exciting concept.
And
I think India can do very well because of the way we play and the way the African nations play. I think this is a type of game that we can do very well at. We'll never do well at indoor hockey because we don't have the infrastructure here for indoor hockey. But Hockey Fives in this country can be an exciting element. So I'm making sure that our coaches are also becoming very briefed and understanding of this game, because there will be a World Cup in 2023 for Hockey Fives. And obviously our Youth Olympics teams both did well in Buenos Aires. So there's already some interest in this game. The education of the coaches is particularly important for me, Moses. I spent a lot of time in the last 12 months making sure that our best coaches are getting well educated, because this provides then the grassroots level. You know, the children are learning hopefully at a younger age than 11, being introduced to the game. And by the time they're getting to 2028, we're going to be a strong nation again.
Now, again, David, when I was in India, I realized a different. Your players are very different. Now, why I'm talking about that, I'm talking about strength, because before, a long time ago, Indians players were just very good technically, you know, good dribblers. But now there's a lot of change. I've seen a lot of change in their physiology. I mean, what have you guys invested? Because it's totally different. It looks very different.
I think since I came in 2011, let's go back. I don't think you can play international hockey now without having good physiology and to be very fit. The game has changed. I did my statistics last week, and there was a study done in 2004 on the 2x35 game. 95% of the game was aerobic and 5% was anaerobic.
Wow.
Okay, that was in 2004. So this year, I've analysed our senior women's team and taken the GPS data and again looked at how much aerobic versus anaerobic. It's now 65% aerobic, 35% anaerobic. So you've had a 30% increase in anaerobic.
Wow.
And the anaerobic is really up to 10 seconds. So explosive efforts over up to 10 seconds. So repeat shuttles, repeat efforts. So most international players are doing 35 to 40 30-meter sprints in a match. They're playing for a maximum of 2 to 2.5 minutes, coming off, having their rotation, their rest, and then coming back in and repeating the high intensity efforts. So being involved with Hockey India League, where we were playing 4 by 17.5 minutes, and then we went to 4 by 15 minutes. I became very aware that there was a change in the game. So we started introducing this type of specific fitness relatively early into India. And when I left, I made sure that my replacements were also well-trained, well-qualified exercise physiologists, always coming into India. And we've continued with this. And I think everyone looks and says, you're having good success now, but this is a cumulative effort over 5, 6, 7 years. Things just don't happen. You can look at the success that Belgium is now having, or that Argentina had. That was over a 10-year process. And you have to look long term. So I've really been recruiting this team since 2011, 2012. So they've been together a long time, and the girls have been together since 2013. And they've had 7 to 8 years together. And you have a step-by-step process with their fitness. So each year, cumulative, they're getting better. And each year they get a little bit better. And we understand what's required in terms of their fitness. And because they're in camp 12 months of the year, we're able to monitor very closely how they're going. That's a real advantage for us, I think.
And then that's fantastic. That's I think you also, when I was with you in India, you also mentioned about the diet. What did you have to do about the diet? Because I think that is key. It's something that you can manage.
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of our players come from a very poor area. They're not, obviously the wealth goes into cricket and golf and other sports, but our players come from very poor areas and poor villages, generally, and their initial nutrition is not good. So remember, they're not starting hockey till 11. Some are then recruited into academies, and even the nutrition within the academies are not good. There's been a significant change in the last 10 to 15 years because in the Punjab area, they were always fed milk products as youngsters through the school and through their education. And for whatever reason, this stopped. So in days gone by, and we're talking in the pre-80s, the Punjab players were already tall, strong, muscular physiques. And this came because of the proteins they were having. Then it was taken away from them, and their nutrition dropped, and they lack strength. Yes, they're skillful, but they generally don't have big body size. We only have a couple, Rupinder Pal and Srijesh, but generally we're not a tall team. So since 2011, we've now had to, with every camp, we provide nutritional supplements for them. Within each group of 33, we would have around a third would be vegetarian and some are vegan. So with them in particular, we've got to make sure they're getting whey protein 3 times a day. And this helps with their training, obviously, with their recovery. And in our camp situations, we have very good gymnasium, very good trainers. So weight training now is part of their normal routine. And so they're very good in the gym. As a result, their body size and body shape has changed, as you commented on.
I remember I saw some of the guys, I saw them training, and they are doing a lot. And now there's one point I really like, because I know you played against Kenya, and I was really impressed with the Kenya Fives. You know, it was the first time they played 5. And when you saw them playing, and you look at African teams, from your point of view, from the point of science, what do you think we need to do to improve? Because you
remind me of Indians in 2011. You're naturally athletic. Okay. I still think to play international hockey, you probably need to be fitter again. I think Zambia in that competition in Buenos Aires actually finished 3rd or 4th. I think they finished 4th. So they made the semifinals. Because they had 3 or 4 outstanding players, outstanding skills. and very athletic.
Mhm.
So the problem there now is the depth.
Mm.
Having more of those types of players being attracted to hockey rather than football. And I think you have the skills, you have the
Yes.
natural speed, agility
Yes.
components, and the explosiveness will come with more gym training.
Mhm.
So I think you have all the raw ingredients.
Yes.
But good nutrition
Yeah.
and scientific training,
Mhm.
yeah, it'll get you there, Moses.
Yeah, that's good to hear because I remember there are times I was looking at my history books. I don't want to go back to history, but I think it's encouraging where Kenya and India used to actually fight in tournaments.
Yeah.
But it's good. Finally, very important point: the mental part, because I think this is something that we need to hear. What kind of trainings or what kind of system have you put? A long time ago, I used to be following India a lot. They will score a goal, but they will not end up winning, So,
Yeah.
but now they are more consistent. What have you done to help them?
All right. So we've tried to eliminate all of the things that would typically cause the problem. So is it fitness? Is it due to fatigue? So we're allowing goals in the last 5 minutes of quarters or matches because of fatigue. No, not now. I think India, is one of the fitter teams in the world now, both our men and our women. So I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to match experiences and learning. And the more times you put into that situation, the more times you're going to learn from that pressure situation. And if you start having positive outcomes, a little bit like the Belgium team, the Belgium team went through probably 2 or 3 years where they weren't winning important matches like quarterfinals or semifinals.
Yes.
And then you have a breakthrough. And from that breakthrough, yes, you learn from the experience, but I think you develop confidence in each other that you can, that suddenly you're good enough to actually win those matches. I think that's really important. And to do that, you have to be playing against high level opposition. So within our camp structure, we have 33 players. Okay? And I think now, particularly with the men, there is an evenness across the top 26 or 27. So when we play 11 versus 11, okay, there's real competition within the group for places. And this, I think, because they're having to fight now for their own places, not just for the Olympics, but for every tournament we go to. No one's guaranteed a position. It's based on your training performances. And within the training sessions, we have a lot of game simulation and pressure situations. They're put into pressure simulation and we see how they respond and learn from these situations. And I think this is probably the most important, Moses. We can sit in front of a sports psychologist as much as we like, but that's not actually putting yourself into the match situation and learning from it. So I think being in the situation, reviewing the performance and how you reacted under that pressure, okay, and then learning from that so that when you're in the next situation, we get better at it. And I think it's been one of the important things for both the men and the women.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying because I think that's a way to do it. Now, David, I don't want to ask you other questions which are deep, but what are you? I've been working in Netherlands, and they are always asking me, Moses, you are in India. What are these guys up to? I told them, hey, you guys watch out, because I saw the under-21s, the way they played, and some of the players have been upgraded. But from your point of view and from the point of goal setting, what is the expectation of the management of the teams you have?
I think we always look at windows of opportunity. And I think it's based on the age of the players, the amount of experience they have, the amount of games they've actually played together. So they have that connection with each other on the pitch. I think Belgium at the moment are a strong team because of this. They've spent a lot of time together. And yes, you introduce 3 or 4 juniors players into your team and they fit in very well because they have experienced role models.
Yeah.
And we're at that situation at the moment. After the 2016 Junior World Cup, we've introduced 8 or 10 junior players into the program. A lot of those players have now played between 75 and 120 matches, international matches.
Wow.
So Harmanpreet, Mandeep, Nilakanta, Varun, these players have now played 100 matches.
Yes.
So leading into an Olympic Games, this is a good window of opportunity for us.
Yes.
I think after Tokyo, we'll probably only have around 5 that will retire. Wow. So I think our window is open for the next 2 Olympics, given we're going to play 2 Olympics in 3 years.
Yes.
So I think 2024 is still looking good because someone like Manpreet will be around 30 years of age in 2024. And he'll have played 400 matches by then. Okay. So, but as the person coordinating this, I'm always then looking at the group below that can put pressure on the ones that are already existing in the team. Wow. So I think I don't want complacency within the group.
Yeah, yeah.
And the complacency will come if there's no pressure from below. And we have an expectation on our juniors to obviously on the junior men because we're hosting the Junior World Cup that once again will do very well in our own country. I'm particularly excited about the girls. Yes. I think our group of junior girls is very exciting. We've already promoted 4 of them into the senior team.
Yes.
And someone like Shami's already played 70 matches and she's still only 19.
Yeah.
But we have 4 junior girls in our senior women's team that can play the Junior World Cup in South Africa.
Wow.
So our depth in the girls is increasing. And I think I'm particularly excited about, the quality of our Indian women here, which don't get discussed very often. Everyone looks at the men and how exciting they are, but our women I think are exciting and a team for the future.
It's and I saw a piece of those guys. I remember the time they came to Kenya for the and I was telling people, you guys watch in and I think you guys are doing a good job. Now, decision making, especially in your position where you have very experienced player and you really have to face the fact that hey, their clock time is done. We need to, and how you make those decisions. And because I think for you, it's been very tough, especially. I remember, I don't mention the name of a very senior player. So how do you manage that?
Look, so we have I think everyone does match analysis, but our match analysis is particularly thorough. So every decision that's made on the pitch by every player, including the opposition players, is scored. Plus, every international team has GPS data. So we're always looking at their physiological fitness and their speed. Are they still fast enough to play an international game? Yeah. That's the first question. Do they have the fitness to play the international game? Now we need to keep asking, are there injuries that are causing a problem? But then we're looking at performance on the pitch. And we're very thorough in examining every player and their performance on the pitch. And whether the player has been a senior international player and gone to 2 or 3 Olympics, you're only as good as your last game, Moses.
Yes. It's
true. And if you have a string of games, obviously we're not ruthless where we're going to rule a player out after 1 bad game. But if you have a string of games where you're not performing, then we have to lead by example here and show the younger players that there is opportunities in the senior team. If you're performing well and the senior players aren't performing well, we make change. Make those decisions. And I think being an outsider as such, for me, I'm an Australian, I'm not an Indian. It probably makes, I'm much more unbiased. And it makes the decision for me easier, I think, than perhaps it would for an Indian to make those decisions. But I think now that we've made it very objective, people can't argue when they see the evidence on the screen or in the statistics to say, sorry, your time is up. Your time is up. And we try and, I'm very aware, having worked in other sports as well, that retirement is a difficult thing for a lot of athletes. They don't prepare very well for retirement, particularly hockey players in this country. Having said that, most most of the international players in India have a job and are given a job. But we still want to prepare them for that life after their international hockey, and to give them some fair warning that, look, your time is coming. So it's not a shock to them at all.
David, I think just like the way you are, very brief, on point. Thank you so much, and I really want to thank you for. I've learned a lot from you the last time I was there, and I'm really looking forward to see India perform better. I'm rooting for you, but I have to be very careful when I say that. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon.
I hope to see you soon. Thank
you very much for your talk. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Moses.
All right. Bye. Bye. Viewers, that was David from Hockey India, and I think he's done a great job explaining on the needful we need to do for us to be successful. I'm really happy that the problems we've been having in African hockey can be addressed differently, and not only African hockey. These guys have a plan. They have objectivity, and they are looking forward to that. So from today, I think it has been very informative, and thank you, and have a fruitful week. Bye-bye from now. Bye. See you, David.